Guess who's back? Back again. Ava's back. Tell a friend. Tell a friend. Hey, starting right out of the gate, tell your goddamn friends about me. Are you not telling anyone? Listen, guys, I want more followers. I need more followers. This is to kick it off the episode so desperate. You guys, times are tough. I'm not receiving enough attention. I need you to start telling people about me. I need word of mouth. No, 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 no. Um, Hi everyone, I'm back. Uh, I would, I would never, I wouldn't be doing this if it wasn't for the people who actually listen and watch and listen and watch to this podcast. So, if you are a regular viewer and a regular commenter in my DMs or on the YouTube, know that I do this for you. I really do. Because why else would I be on episode 100 and 100 and oh, I'm looking. Oh. Oh, the Champions League was on today. Whoop. No, stay focused. Stay focused, Algus. Oh, 126, episode 126. I wouldn't do 126 episodes if there weren't people actually responding and enjoying and listening and watching. Truly, because I mean, nobody was listening for the first 50, maybe a couple people, but and when you think about it, that's some nifty growth. That's some nifty exponential growth I've enjoyed. When you compare against episode 2, which technically is episode 1, there is no episode 1. Isn't that a fun fact? There is no pilot episode of PodGis. um, what was the point I was just making? Oh man, what was I just saying? Oh, oh, when you think about how many viewers and listeners I have now compared to how many I had in episode 2, that's that's exponential growth. That's like 1,000% increase. So, all that to say, thank you, my listeners and viewers, and thank you and welcome back. I'm going to speak on your behalf and say welcome back, Ava Guess, to the Pod Zone. Pew, pew, pew. Wow. Wow, 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 wow. Brap, 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 brap. Hey, do you guys remember dubstep? That's what that music was. I'm so glad dubstep really didn't last that long. And you know what? This might be just confirmation bias, but I was such a curmudgeon. I've always been such a curmudgeon a little bit. But when dubstep was a thing, I was in university and dubstep became a thing. And I remember I thought in my head I was like, this won't last. But then I had a second guess because it lasted longer than even I thought. I thought it was gonna come and go in like a year, and then it stuck around for a couple, and I was like, "Oh fuck, is this gonna last? Oh no," because it's just dubstep. Like there were some songs I liked, like Bangarang, Bangarang. Switch. That's what every song was. This is my impression of dubstep. That was dubstep, and everyone was like, this is the new wave of music." Dubstep. Oh man, that's so fun. Steven. Oh, he went to the gym. That's one of those things I hope my roommate and friend, one person, not two, that's one of the things that I hope Steven hears sometimes. because I feel like that's the kind of thing he would enjoy. Anyways, you guys know how I like to talk about when these things are recorded. This is me the night before this episode goes out. This is me on April 16th, the night before this episode airs. I'll say airs, whatever. It's a fish. It's official. So I'm back. I'm back from my tour. I won't do the time thing. I'll spare you guys that little nugget of comedy. But I'm back from my tour. I have a lot to catch y'all up on. I have a lot to say. I have so much. And I wore a skirt here because I always get so sweaty doing these things. But look. Isn't that cute? Um, and I wore this skirt because I was like, you always get so hot, Avagus, and you start sweating, and especially you keep wearing those fleece pajamas, the fleece pajama bottoms, and then you're just this puddle by the end of the episode. So I was like, you know what I'll do instead? I'll wear a skirt because it's airy, and you know what? Nobody can see down there. But now my legs are sticking to the chair. My bare legs. So this is what I've decided to do. Just now. And you know, some of you listeners who are maybe a little bit more some of you listeners who like me for more aesthetic reasons. I'm not going to shame you, don't worry. I'm just glad you're here like I said at the beginning. So if you watch my video on mute, I'll let you. Well, no, you're not going to know what happened because it happens off screen. But I'm taking off this skirt, and this is still PG, right? Just me telling you I'm in my underwear. It's like the joke everybody made during Zoom meetings during COVID lockdowns, where they're like, "We're all in our underwear." That's PG. That's corporate humor. I'm giving you guys corporate humor, and it's fine. And see, there's the skirt in my hands now, unattached to my person. Um, so you know, for anybody who's that kind of a fan of mine, there you go. Now you've added an element of enjoyment for it. Now you can imagine that I'm sitting here in my silky my sweet oh shit, my in a lingerie panties, my sexy rump rumpazoids. What's a sexy term for I don't know. My sexy girl underwear. My sexiest maiden cloth garment. Making it worse. Yeah, I'm in my underwear. But now, I was worried that my legs were gonna stick to the chair, and now my whole ass is gonna stick to the chair. So now it's an emergency. Now I need to find a shirt to sit on. Give me 1 second. And don't look. Uh. Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. Oh, I sat on the decal part of the shirt, you know? This is such a waste of your time. I'm sorry. There we go. There we go. We're good. We're back. Okay. Sorry, that was quite an interlude. Maybe I should have some dubstep at the ready. Switch beats, switch beats, oh, that really takes it out of me. All right, don't want to overdo that bit. That bit is done, but it's a real funny one, and I think I love doing that. Let me tell you, I gotta let you guys know. Total side note, it is taking so much restraint not to keep doing that bit. Restraint and a little awareness that my throat is starting to hurt early in this thing. And that's because I can't sustain doing dubstep for too long. We will move on because the more I think about it, the more I'm going to want to do it. So, before I get to talking about the tour, and I have a tale or two, before I get to that, I have a new idea for a segment. Segment guess. And that's what I was gonna call it character guess, but segment guess works because it's segment guess is like it could mean anything, you know? You know what I mean? Okay, so it's so hot in here. Oh, this is gonna be a problem. Um, this is gonna be a focus problem. Character guess. So before I get to the tour, I have a new segment in which I am gonna think of a bunch of character premises during the week. Excuse me. And then I'm gonna tell you guys about them. That's it. I have some ideas for funny characters, and we're gonna test them out. I'm just gonna pitch them to you guys. Okay, starting with today I watched the first episode of the new Fallout series. Apparently, every episode is out, and I didn't know this. And I was on the road, and I'm just coming back to society because a little bit when you're on tour, you get out of touch with society. You see, and I don't know what the new things to stream. I don't know what the new things for to stream are. So now I'm just finding out, and Fallout has come out. I never played any of the games, but I've watched people play. I know all about them. I've seen the aesthetic. I'm familiar enough. Obviously, I won't get almost all of the Easter eggs, but I'm still gonna recognize some things. And I gotta say, episode 1, very intriguing. I loved it. Visually stunning. But anyways, to the character guess. So it just reminded me of okay, there's one guy, one actor in this Fallout episode, in episode 1. I'm sure he's gonna come back because he got a lot of screen time, and you get the feeling that this isn't the last of him. But in case you're wondering who I'm thinking of, if you've watched it, he's the white guy in the Brotherhood who has the punchable face. He's like the jerk of the group, the bully, the main bully of the kids. You know what I mean? The kids / young adult men. And that's the thing. He has a face that I swear to God I've recognized in other shows in which he plays the same role. Just the jerky boy, the fucking head jerk of the bully committee. And I thought it would be funny. Here's the character here it's the actor that keeps getting typecast as a jerk and as a dickbag, but he's like the most timid, demure, well-intentioned, like he just wants people to like him, and he's actually pretty nice. But he gets typecast so hard as a jerk boy, as a dick face, everywhere he goes, and he has such a punchable dick-ass face that people start to think he's a dick in real life, despite his best efforts to like win them over and to fight against that reputation. You know what I mean? So like he comes in, his agent calls him, and she's like, "Hey, Jared," and she's already sighing because she's like, "I don't want to talk to this fucking asshole." And she's like, "Listen, Jared, you got fast tracked for this role. They want you. You don't have to audition. You got it. Okay? You have to be a piece of shit." And he's like, "Oh, well, I was hoping I could maybe venture out into a wider range of roles, but I'm always grateful for what I get." That's the Jared way. And she's like, "God, fuck. I should have sent an email or a text. I hate this. I hate talking to you. What a piece of shit." And then she hangs up, and like he goes to the first day of shooting or whatever, and he's like, "Hi everybody, my name's Jared. I brought y'all, but here's some cupcakes." And they're like, "Oh yeah, did you fart in the box? Huh? What did you make them with? You rub some fucking, you blow your nose into the batter bowl, huh? You piece of shit. God, what a piece of shit. He's like, oh no. They're like, you're such a dick. He's like, oh, are we rolling yet? Did we start? So as you can see, I find that really terribly funny. This guy, he can't, everyone thinks he's a piece of shit. And then the cameras roll, they say action, and he turns it on right away. And he's just such a punchable asshole. And then they stop, they go cut. And while during the take, they're just like, God, this fucking guy. And then they yell cut. He's like, oh, was that good? They're like, yeah, it was. Yeah, it was great. Oh, can we wrap already? I hate being around this fucking turd. That's so dumb. Okay, so that's character number 1. Hopefully that was good enough that you guys like it, that I'll do more of this CHARACTERGIS. Otherwise, let me know if that was a complete waste of time. Anyways, here's character number 2 that I thought of just today. So also take it easy on me, because I just thought of this today. But this idea, I'm trying to make it not sound hack, because I'm sure this has been done before, because I know versions of it have been done. Okay, so the idea is this youth pastor who is trying to communicate abstinence to a group of kids, campers or whatever, or whatever youth group. He's trying to sell abstinence, sexual abstinence to these kids, but he's trying to be relatable and trying to like, but he's still a religious weirdo. and he's had some sexual experience, and he's trying to lay that on thick while he's trying to relate to these kids. But you can tell that he hasn't had much. And in my head, I just thought the funniest part was him being like, all right, now let's, I'm not going to lie to you. Let's be honest. You know, sometimes you feel a girl up over her shirt and you get a big, huge boner. Trust me, I've been there, okay? And sometimes you come in your jeans. Sometimes you just blast a big old rope into your denim because your favorite cutie blew a smooch your way after reading Psalms 249. And like, fellas, listen, I get it. Sometimes you just cream your jeans at the very thought of, Deborah across the way just stealing kisses from Deborah. But let me tell you, it ain't worth it. You better keep that cum in your jeans. That cum, let me tell you, it'll be a lot of... God won't like it if that cum gets anywhere near. I'm also going to say, God won't like it if that cum gets anywhere near a womb. But let me tell you what God likes even more is if you keep that cum where it belongs, in your stomach. He doesn't know the anatomy. You keep your cum somewhere in your stomach there. You're losing them. You're losing them, George. Anyways, yeah, listen, fellas, I know you're getting to that age. I know that, you're watching, let's say you're watching TV and you're watching one of them music videos and you got the girls there and they're dancing all suggestively. And mind you, maybe these girls have strayed a little far, too far from the Lord's light. And you're laying on your stomach watching TV and you feel your penis get hard against the carpet and your stomach. And boy, oh boy, there's no feeling like it. There isn't a better feeling than just driving your hard penis. And sure, you wiggle around and like, oh me, oh my, doesn't that feel fantastic? But listen, fellas, the Lord Just like you're watching that music video, the Lord is watching you. And let me tell you, he's not as impressed. He's not as impressed with that sinful erection, that pre-cum that's dribbling out between your navel and your boxer shorts. Oh, man. And, you know, sometimes... well, he's from the South. He's got to be from the South. I'm adding that in, throwing that in addition to this George character. His name shouldn't be George. It should be Ezekiel or some shit. And he's like, and, you know, sometimes, you go swimming, you're going swimming, and, you know, you look over, and there's a young lady in a bikini, and sometimes you gotta run into the water as soon as you see that bikini. You gotta go into the water, cause you got a massive boner, and everyone on the beach is gonna see you. So you go into the water, and boy, oh boy, is it cold. And you thank the Lord for God's cold water that's at least gonna provide a little bit of, I don't want to say friction. Oh, nope. Whoops. Uh-oh. Old Ezekiel is getting a little excited just talking about it. So listen, fellas, I've been there. You ever see a picture of a vagina in your science textbook? I get it. Old Ezekiel knows where you're coming from. So as long as you keep that cum where it belongs, in your stomach, and as long as you keep the Lord in your heart, then it should all work out. Because when that day comes, when you marry your sweetheart and you take her back to your hotel room, and you undress each other for the first time, and and boy, oh boy, after that, you have the sex, you consummate, however that might look like. I've been there. I mean, no, I haven't. I mean, what can I say that's gonna make me cool to you guys? He just breaks. That character broke down, but I think it ran its course. Anyways, let's talk about the tour. I'm back from this. By the way, that last segment, I hope it's not so explicit. It's never, it won't get taken down, right? Don't report me. Oh no, by saying don't report me, maybe there's a hater out there who will. I don't know. I'm back. I'm back from my tour. And hey, let me know if that character segment was good. I did some real heavy improv there. Some solo character, solo improv. So you better recognize that she really put her imagination to the test. And her wit, too. I'm surprised that I didn't stumble very much there. Because this is all just... I'm coming up with it off the top of the dome. Okay, let's talk tour. I am back. I feel proud. I feel accomplished. I feel somewhat invigorated and reassured about Alberta. Somewhat. So, let's go city by city. So, I flew out to, we actually flew in and out of Vancouver was the main... Anyways, you don't need to know about the intricacies of the travel, the exhausting... It was a lot of travel. But we did Victoria first. We went to Heckler's in Victoria. That was an exciting show because I've been to Victoria once, but I've never been to Heckler's. And Heckler's was so delightful. And holy crumb, the people there were so wholesome that I won't even swear. I'm not going to swear a single time. Please, spare me a moment for some hydration. As I speak about Victoria, I will not say a single curse word because, oh me, oh my, were those people the most wholesome, delightful, just cherubic little angels. Everyone in Victoria, British Columbia. Ah, I need to get comfortable. It's so hot in here. Um, no, I'm not taking any more layers off. Get your mind out of the gutter. If you know who you are, you know who you are. Okay, anyways. Victoria was a delight. Heckler's was really cool. I've never been there before. But I I operate under the assumption everywhere I go in life. I operate under the assumption that I'm getting clocked everywhere. I assume that I'm clocky, especially from this angle. Me and this right side, we don't get along. Maybe this one is fine, but there's something about this one. Nah. Anyways, I operate under the assumption that I am fully unclockable, maybe 90% of the time. I'll be generous the other way. This is me being generous the other way. About, because I want to say 100% of the time. But in my heart, I believe that it is. Okay, anyways. Despite being clockable as fuck everywhere I go, Victoria, everyone I met at that bar, which isn't a gay bar, but is like, apparently Victoria is super progressive. It's like this super progressive. What is the population? I'm always, okay, the bigger the population, the more diversity. These things correlate in my mind. I might not be right. Don't come after me for this, but this is my working theory. That it's not even a theory. It makes fucking sense. That bigger cities, metropolitan, cosmopolitan, tend to be a little bit more progressive and liberal. So, Victoria, BC population. Okay, Victoria has a population of 92,000. See, it's so small. How is it that small? That's wild. Victoria's so small. Huh. Anyways, it was as soon as okay, the point I'm trying to make is I feel like I am so clocky everywhere I go that I can tell how progressive people are based on the stares I receive or the amount of normalcy I am treated with and kindness by extension. And so what was this guy's name? Joel or something? There was this older fella who we were sitting at the back of the room, and this Joel character came up, and he kept putting money in the lottery machine, and he had just the most like effervescent, I'll use the most warm glow about him. This Joel guy, and we just struck up a it was so like you could just tell this guy was just in high spirits. He was just a wholesome fella. So I was asking him, I was like, did you win, son? I was like that meme, but reverse, where I was like, are you winning, son? And anyways, he just the warmest greetings, and we chit-chatted for a bit. It was just so nice. So whatever your name is, I'm sure you're never going to watch this, but just know that that conversation meant so much to me in terms of like settling me in. But if you look at the pictures and the footage of hecklers, my oh my, gee willikers, geez Louise, it was packed. The show was amazing, super, super fun. There were a couple bears, not the animal, the gay demographic. There were a couple bears off to the side of the stage, and I played with them a bunch, and they came up after the show, and everyone was so freaking delightful in Victoria, BC. What did I want to say? Oh, we stayed above a marina, which was really cool. The owners of a marina gave us their like guest house above the marina store. And so it was a really pleasant stay with like a cool rooftop balcony that you could look over at all the boats. So that was really mwah, really cool. I went for a run and I just saw how rich all the houses are there. Ooh, rich, rich. In that area that we were staying in. Rich, rich. But gotta be so lonely and isolated, you know? I'm a lonely person. I like my alone time, believe it or not. I think despite it all, I am at the core more of an introvert than an extrovert. I keeps to myself. What you are seeing, this perceived extroversion is a learned skill, I would say, rather than a natural compulsion. Know what I mean? Anyways, yeah, Victoria, what else can I say? Great time, awesome city, super fun. Then we went to Vancouver. Oh, okay, listen. Chillax Studios, that's where we performed. It was really fun, super fun show. There was a very drunk lesbian couple in the front that I played with. That this footage, this is what breaks my heart. I've complained about this before, but my act, my headlining act is so woven with callbacks and such context heavy material, like it's long form shit where I establish something at the beginning and then it gets funnier every time I reference it throughout the show, which makes it so difficult to contextualize enough for a clip on TikTok, let alone something that retains people's attentions. What is it? Past the 5 to 7 second mark for when people usually scroll away. God, that makes me so sad because my act is so enjoyable if you like sit and watch the whole body of work. It all comes together in so many ways, and like I play and I have fun, but you need to know what's going on for it to make sense. That's why my clips that I post, they don't fucking perform well. It makes me so sad. It really, a piece of me dies a little bit every time I post a video to TikTok and it gets like fucking less than 1,000 views. And I'm like, oh man, what do I need to do to prove how talented I am? Because I am. I'm a talented bitch. And listen, some of the stuff that I did in Vancouver, I posted this video and it didn't, nobody saw it. But um at one point I did a joke that didn't quite get the reaction that I wanted to. And so I went off, I like faked fury or whatever, and I picked up a water bottle I've done this so many times before where I try and do a water bottle flip and it's usually just an impulse. I just like flick it just to have I don't know, just for something physical, something to do. It's part of who I am. I think with my body. So I just flicked it and it landed right side up. And the room fucking exploded because of course it did. Because every time you see a water bottle land right side up, you have no choice but to lose your fucking mind. You know? It's it shouldn't be as impressive as it always is. You know what I mean? Landing a water bottle flip is the coolest, especially when you do it as casually as I did. That was like, oh, fuck you guys. You didn't get that joke, you pieces of shit. Huh. And then, punk. Ah, it like, so, anyways, I have chucked water bottles across many a stage out of faux frustration. And that was the first time ever that it landed right side up. And let me tell you, if I have to do a water bottle, if I have to do a million more of those just to get it to land right side up one more time, I will fucking do it. I will do it. That reaction, that feeling, it can and must be recreated. It is my life's goal to make it happen again. And I will, and I will. Odds are I will. I'm going to be chasing that high for the rest of my life. And I don't have any problems with that. Okay. Where was I? So Vancouver. Oh, yeah. Okay, so 2 other things outside of the show. The show was another banger. Listen, I don't have to talk about the shows too much. Just trust that they were all the Gay AF tour shows that I did, not the ones that I did kinda on the side in between. Those Gay AF shows were the fucking best. They were the best. Um, Amazing crowds, all 4 of them. Uh, but Okay, so a couple things happened in Vancouver that are worth talking about. One of which, listen, Vancouver, I love. It is so picturesque. It is a beautiful city, this beautiful collision of like, sure, the city part of it, but almost everywhere you look, you're surrounded by mountains and sea, and it's gorgeous. It is beautiful. The mountains uh are wonderful. And I'm pretty sure it's because they have restrictions on how tall buildings can be, which like that's one of the things that I know that probably hurts a city's GDP, its bottom line, its productivity, its capitalistic, its economic endeavors. It probably uh hamstrings you a little bit in terms of maximizing profit. But uh, I don't even know what this is worth. But to somebody like me who lives for the moment, I had many a moment in Vancouver stopping and looking around and seeing the mountains from gosh darn it, almost anywhere in Vancouver, looking around and seeing mountains. It's a trip. It's beautiful. Vancouver is gorgeous. However, here is the but. And talk about economics. Vancouver, you have a very unfortunate, sad, homeless and drug problem, and it is heartbreaking. There are a lot of people very much down on their luck. There are a lot of strung out people. There's a lot of self-evident mental illness on the street, and uh it's bittersweet roaming a city that is capable of so much beauty and also so much uh pain, a lot of pain. And so I will say 2 things that happened there. I just wish these people the best. I don't even know what that's worth. I want to give money, but I don't fucking have any. The more money I make, the more I spend, and the more, and not on like fun stuff. It's the more I have to spend on my business. It feels like the more money I make, the deeper a hole I'm in. I don't know how, but it's just been so disappointing. I'm doing so well, and I've never been in a worse financial situation. Oh, it's because I'm investing in myself, and it's so feels like my entire life is taking steps back in apprehension of taking steps forward, and then, wondering when those steps forward are going to happen. Oh, anyways, back to enough self-pity. The Vancouver thing. So there were 2 things that happened. First of all, and one of them is a deep reflection on who I am as a person. But this is kind of funny but sad. But I was walking to one of the shows, and this guy was running shirtless down the middle of a street. It was Granville Street for anybody who's familiar with Vancouver. So, like, the downtown busy area of Vancouver. Running up the middle of the street, screaming, help. Screaming for help, this guy. And, uh, everyone around him is shocked, stunned. And finally, like, one woman sort of doesn't jump out at him, but like kind of waves him down from the sidewalk and is like, "What's going on? What's the emergency?" And he goes, "Aliens, aliens," or blah blah blah. And I couldn't make out the rest. It turned into immediately insane ramblings. So it was I got a joke about it. I got a joke, but this guy was running down the street screaming, "Help, help." And as soon as a woman was like, "What's the problem? What's the emergency?" And he was like, "The aliens." She was like, oh, okay, never mind. See ya. And everyone on the sidewalk, including me, I'm ashamed to say, just kind of like, oh, uh, no worries. As soon as a guy yells aliens, you're like, oh, okay, that's a you problem, I suppose. You know, I can't I can't fix your mental illness and I don't know. It was just funny. It was funny, sad, of course. I fully acknowledge the tragic elements. I mean, that's what makes it funny is how sad it is, truly. It's a bit dark, but the fact that this guy was in so much distress and then immediately mentioned aliens and everyone on the street was just like, "Oh, okay. Back to the usual." And everyone just proceeded. Uh Funny but sad. There you go. There's that one. And then here's another funny but sad. Oh boy, Vancouver. Vancouver is nice but also sad. It's a both city for sure. Capable of so much beauty and pain. Um so I was coming back from one of the other shows, feeling particularly raw. Oh yeah, I need to get my money for that one. Um Not the gay AF. I was doing some side shows while I was in town for whatever other gigs, and I was coming back from a show in which I wasn't happy with how I did, so I wasn't feeling particularly fond of myself. I was doing a little bit of self uh, denigration walking home, and I see ahead there is a man holding a free hugs sign, a cardboard sign that says free hugs, and he's got this big beaming smile, and he looks shoddy. He definitely looks like an unhoused person, which liberals, listen, I'm a liberal too. I don't know if you noticed, I'm quite progressive myself, but the term unhoused, I don't know who that is for. I don't know who that's for. Uh, I can't imagine a homeless person being like, excuse me. I'm pretty sure their concerns run a lot deeper than the semantics of having a house, possession of a house, or whatever the active or passive noun in a sentence is, whence referring to a homeless person's relationship with housing. It's whatever. Anyways, okay, so a clearly down on his luck gentleman, I will say, was holding a free hug sign, and I saw him like a block ahead. Big beaming smile, really welcoming, warm energy, of course. Nothing salacious about it, and people are mostly just blinders on, full on ignoring him, or some people are kind of like, no, yeah, kind of recoiling, I guess. And he makes eye contact with me, sees that I'm looking at him, and he turns and he spots me, and we make eye contact, and he just starts coming at me from like a block away, and big smile, and I just can't resist. I cannot resist. My heart, it beats for connection. I want to believe in human connection. And I want to believe in goodness and positivity. And I want to fight cynicism. I want to fight it fucking every chance that I get. I want to fight against it. I want to contribute something that opposes cynicism. I just want to put that fucking positive entropy into the world. So I reciprocate, and I go in for a hug, and he calls me sweetheart, and he asks me my name, and I ask him his. And what was it? Was it Chris? I think it may have been Chris. And we have this tender moment. It was a pretty long hug. There was nothing. It was, I'll say, he smelled homeless. I'll be honest. He smelled like he had gone without bathing for a short while, or his clothes were unwashed, and like Poor guy. All it did was just make me sympathize for him. And like welcome the hug even more, because in that moment I was like, I don't know who needs this more. But if this guy is out here not even um not even begging for change, he's just offering hugs. And that sort of giving energy. I'm starting the words white savior just fucking popped into my head, like as if I mean, he was white too. Let's that's a fact. But but I this feels, I don't know, am I being fucking am I preaching from my white castle? Makes me feel a little hypocritical. But like, I don't know. I just, if you can't give money, give love. It's But anyways, we shared this moment where we had this hug, and this Chris guy, we chatted. It was very brief, and I mean, he did cross a little bit of a a little bit of a line there. He like took my hand and gave it like the gentleman's kiss atop my hand, and he said, "You're very pretty." And I don't know if my voice gave it away. Like I said, I assume I'm getting clocked no matter fucking what. I'm under the presumption constantly. And so I presumed that he clocked me, but he still nonetheless called me a pretty and sweetheart and a lovely young lady and all this stuff. And he wasn't laying it on too thick. There was still the wholesomeness to it. That was a chivalry, I suppose, I guess. Even though it was a little bit hitting onish. And anyways, he asked for a second hug. We hugged it out again, and I walked away, and we wished each other a good night. Oh yeah, he also said he was like, I wish I hadn't given away my 3 necklaces. I had 3 necklaces tonight, and I gave all 3 of them away. I wish I could have given you my last one, because that was the best hug I've had all night. And it melted my heart, because I'm like, oh, that's exactly the kind of stuff that really melts me. And then I walked away, and then a little bit of cynicism creeped in, where I was like, oh, check your pockets, check your pockets. And so I had to frantically check my pockets just to make sure, because, and I talked to my brother about this afterwards, and like, I don't know a lot of people, seriously, honestly, I don't know a lot of people who would have hugged this guy. I know some good people, but I also know some careful people. I'll say that. And some people who wouldn't be as naive. Everything that I'm saying could be interpreted as naive. Have at you. You know? Go for it. Call me naive. It is what I am. I acknowledge that. Especially because if anyone was going to be a victim of a pickpocketing via a free hug scheme, 100% it would have been me. 100%. I'm almost counting on it happening to me. When I go back to Europe, I'm going to go to one of the pickpocketing capitals of the world. What is it? Paris? I don't know. Barcelona? Madrid? I'm going to go to the pickpocketing capital of the world, and I will be a victim. I'm calling it now. And the way it's going to happen is not the classic, I'm going to walk right into it. It's going to happen half voluntarily, where like somebody's going to trick me with kindness and then take me for a ride, you know? So I talked to my brother about it way after, and he was like, yeah, it's, should I talk about that conversation? Okay, I'll get to that in a second, but basically, I had this line of thought, not a crisis, but a sort of reflection for the rest of the walk home. Because I like walking to and from gigs. You know, when I'm on the road, especially when I'm on the road, of course. But like when you have nothing else to do, it's so meditative to walk to and from gigs, no matter how far they are. I love it. So I walked home just reflecting on, I like that quality about myself. I'm proud of it. I think it takes a lot of practice and active protection of my goodwill and good nature and good faith in people, it gets challenged. Oh Lord, does it get challenged all the time. And I get taken advantage of so fucking often that you'd think I'd be a lot more careful. Of course. But and that's the thing, is that was the reflection that I had, that I was like, at what point does this become a problem? But at the same time, I kind of felt like even having those thoughts took away from the preciousness of what had just occurred between me and this gentleman. You know, it was a good positive human moment, and like, this is the shit that life is made of. You know, and I don't want to lose that. But I also don't want my stuff jacked from me. I would prefer it if that never happened. So anyways, I really had to think about that on my way home. I was like, at what point, it's so, I'm sure from an outsider's perspective, you look at somebody like me and you're like, "Oh, with your rose-colored glasses, it's so precious and cute, and we must protect the wholesome Avagus at all costs." But but practically, when the chips are down, I got the biggest target written all over my face. The biggest fucking target on my face. I am going, if I ever get hate crimed, trust me, I don't want to victim blame myself, but it'll be because I sort of half walked right into it. I kind of walked into it. And I hate to admit that, but like, it'll be a breadcrumb of fake kindness that will lead me to a dark alleyway, and then I'll get hate crime. And what a tragic end. If that would be my demise, it would be very appropriate, but it would also be, it would happen too soon. And it would be very anyways, this is getting dark, and I'm going to turn this goddamn bus around right out of this dark space I've just wedged myself into. But anyways, so I'm willing to admit, I had this conversation with my brother who lives out there, and we hung out, and I told him about this entire experience, and he wasn't surprised in the slightest. Of course, he was like, "Yeah, that is something that you and only you would do." He was like, "Nobody in our family would fall for a free hug thing." He's like, and so I kind of, my brother's really hard on me, and I don't tell him that often enough. I need to call him out, because sometimes he's straight up kind of mean. Um, but you know, according to him, it's tough love. And so we had this disagreement, I will say, where I asked him, I was like, "Okay, so if slash when inevitably I get pickpocketed for being either neglectful and ditzy and just space case me, just ahead, always in the clouds, or um or exploited through my naivete or kindness, whatever, when that day comes that I have to pay the price for it, and let's say like a whole bunch of money gets stolen from me, or my phone, or some price, my passport, whatever." I was like, "Would you still?" Because this is the thing. I could take some ribbing. Like, he was mocking me for it, which, like, I expected as much. I told him the story knowing that he was going to make fun of me. Sometimes you just do that. I thought he would get a kick out of it. But then him being my brother was like, "You should really work on your fucking common sense." And I was like, "Yeah, but first of all, nothing happened in this free hug situation. It was a beautiful moment that I honestly like cherish. I do. But also, if this happens to me, what is reprimanding me? What value does 'I told you so' have?" And I challenged him on this. I was like, "Why?" I was like, "When that happens to me, are you gonna say 'I told you so'?" And he was like, "Absolutely, I am." He was like, "I'm gonna lay it on thick. I'm gonna come down on you hard when this happens to you someday, because this is your warning. Don't say nobody warns you. We warn you all the time, and still this is gonna happen to you someday." and I can't wait to say I told you so, which is fucking mean and sadistic in my head. I disagree with that because I really don't see, if we're talking practicality and functionality and sense, what sense, what further help is I told you so gonna do? Because in my mind, when I think about the egregious mistakes that I made, for example, last summer when I missed my flight home from Berlin, ladies and gentlemen, folks, that was a $2,000 mistake. That hurt a lot. It continues to boil my blood. It continues to embitter me and make me hate myself. That is an expensive mistake that has cost me to this day, and I hate it. It's probably my biggest regret in my entire life, I would say. And so, since then, it's abundantly obvious to me that I am going to take great care in never missing a fucking flight for the rest of my life. That is a mistake. That is a $2,000 mistake that you only need to learn once. So, what good is having somebody in my ear belittling my character and my intellect and my competency as an adult, as a human being, just insulting my character? What is that going to do to impress upon me the urgency of making the next flight? It's not going to do anything. I've paid the price. I am paying the price. In situations like those, I think the most functional thing you can do is either a there, pat on the back. Don't overlay the sympathy if you don't want to. If it annoys you that you've warned me and I've walked right into it again, then fine. You don't have to coddle me, but you also, I told you so is the most useless function after somebody has made a mistake. It's such a self-serving fucking impulse to tell somebody I told you so. Who is that for but for the person to give themselves such a superficial pat on the back? Congratulations. I hope that made you feel good. I hope my misfortune made you feel like an authority figure. Go fuck yourself. So anyways, this feels like I'm airing my grievances against my brother. And in a way I am. Fuck it. I think about all these things. They all come together. The free hug situation and people who say I told you so. Stop it. You're not helping. The victim has already paid their price. And so someday, when I hypothetically put myself in that situation and I empathize with my future self, when I inevitably have my fucking phone or passport stolen from me, and I just know I put myself in that mental headspace and I can feel myself having like a fucking panic attack, and it doesn't feel good. And I feel it right now. I'm feeling a little bit anxious. I am going to hurt. I am going to hurt. And I'm going to learn that lesson. And I'm trying to learn these lessons now. I am. Maybe, I don't know. Doesn't sound like I am, I guess. That whole thing about I want to put out positive entropy, that is my Achilles heel, isn't it? That is exactly the weakness that is going to get exploited. But I will say this. Everything that could have been stolen was zipped up in a pocket with a zipper. It was secured. So it's almost like I kind of knew. It's like I'm trying to be prepared. I'm trying. Do you guys believe me? Do when I say these things, these segments, sometimes I really feel like I'm being sanctimonious. I don't want to be sanctimonious, you know? I don't want you guys to listen to PodGis and be like, oh, she's up on her wholesome high horse again. I got a bad side, I think. I got a bad side. I think. I could be a bad person. I think maybe Then let's even things out. I'm gonna say something bad about myself. Here we go. I'm gonna say, here we go. Thinking of something bad. No, I don't think I'm that great. Um, I I wonder if my charisma. Oh boy, even this is gonna sound so fucking narcissistic. But I worry that I lead people on too much. You know, I go from city to city, and people have a great time, and they feel a kindredness to me, and I worry that uh my lifestyle precludes me from establishing anything more intimate. That these uh moments, these bonding experiences are fleeting. And improv me, live in the moment Gis, finds a beauty in that, but also a concerning uh I don't know. It just worries me. I don't want to lead people on. You know? Anyways. So that was Vancouver. Wow, I spent a lot of time talking about Vancouver. The free hugs guy and the help aliens guy. That's what I wrote down. So Vancouver was good and fun and great, and the show was really good and fun and great. And go to Chillax Studios for all your comedy needs in Vancouver. Edmonton. Edmonton. What to say about Edmonton? Oh, I got picked up from the airport by one. How am I drawing a blank on his name? He's got a funny name. Norm. Norm Shaw, who is a comic out Alberta way that I have never met before, but apparently he's been around forever. And to hear this guy talk about the things he's done, he just casually kept dropping. He was like, he was a referee in the, I think, WHL. I don't know if NHL, but he was like a professional hockey referee. He was a practicing hypno-psychotherapist. Like the most eclectic life of careers. He was like a performing hypnotist. He's a comedian. What else has he done? He listed a bunch of stuff. I think he was a professor at one point. This guy, if anybody's gonna write a wicked fucking autobiography, it's Norm Shaw. And he reached out to us well in advance of this tour and offered me. He's a radio DJ and I think just a DJ in general, a wedding DJ and shit. I was on his radio show from midnight to 2 o'clock in Edmonton, and he picked us up from the airport. He showed us around. He drove us to West Edmonton Mall. All of this is just an appreciative shout out to Norm Shaw. I'm sure he doesn't listen or watch PodGis, but great guy, excellent gentleman. Thank you for treating us to such an experience. That was great. I always wanted to see West Edmonton Mall. And next time I'm really going to hang out there and see more and maybe even skate on the ice rink. It's huge. I didn't get to see, apparently they're reconstructing the roller coaster. There's an indoor roller coaster, you guys, in West Edmonton Mall. And I didn't get to see it. But I saw the ice rink. I saw the water part with the seal. There's a seal, a live seal there. What else? Yeah, and then I kept making this joke. Fucking whatever. I'll burn it. Basically, when we walked around West Edmonton Mall, it was the end of Ramadan. End of Ramadan name. Eid al-Fitr. Oh God, I'm so sorry to my Muslim listeners or to anyone. I'm just. Can I get a pronunciation of that? Eid? It's the end of Ramadan. Eid al-Fitr. Fitr? Oh God, I Okay, I'm gonna get this right. I'm gonna get it right for all my listeners out there. How to pronounce. Oh, how to pronounce. Eid. Eid al-Fitr. Fitter. If you really want to hit those T's. Botter, matter, platter. Bitter. Yeah, fitter. Eid al-Fitr. God, that is so white how I say it. It is so North American white. So anyways, we were walking through West Edmonton Mall and people were celebrating Eid. So the mall was full of like happy looking Muslims everywhere. And there were queer couples, queer people openly, like the blue hair types, the gender androgynous and gender fluid looking types. Just a diverse bunch. All that to say, diverse bunch. All kinds of races. And it was like, wow, what a diverse city Edmonton is. And then you go out to the parking lot and it's all just double parked Ford F-150s souped up with like fucking like monster truck tires. I don't even know what those are called, but like the big fuck you tires with the, and also the nutsack on the back. Everywhere, every truck has a nutsack, which I know this is a hack joke, it's been done before, but like if you call your truck by a feminine name, Margaret or whatever, and it's got a nutsack, guess what? Your truck is trans. Your truck is part of the sisterhood, and I welcome her. Hi, Margaret. Hi. Welcome. Welcome to the sisterhood, Margaret. Okay. So yeah, Edmonton was great. Except I did have one terrible, awful day, sort of. My new friend Norm invited me to come out to do an open mic on the night before our show at Grindstone Theater, and it was a fun little open mic, and and we were going to perform and then go over to the radio station to do the radio interview. And not only did I bomb my set, I was really like, they just didn't like me from start to finish. It was only a short little open mic set, and what hurts more usually isn't the bomb itself, it's I get disappointed in my lack of bravery in certain situations. To me, a bomb isn't a bomb unless I chickened out of something. And I'm using harsh lingo because I don't know how else to say it. But if I chickened out of doing like new material, which was the plan, if I deviated from my plan in order to play it safe, because this audience wasn't liking me, so I tried doing like tried, tested, and true material. And what sucks is that bombed too. So it's almost like I should have went with the new shit anyways. And it would have been good. I need to practice it. I need to test it out. So I just had a disappointing. Those I take more personally because it reflects not as much on how I do. Like bombs still fucking happen to everybody. Who cares? It's an open mic anyways. And a lot of people were bombing that show. Trust me. It's just when I fail to live up to my own standards of courage and like artistic integrity. When I fail myself. I can fail an audience. That's no problem. But every one of my performances begins and starts with me and how much I am having fun, how much I am engaging my own brain, how adventurous I'm being. These are all core values to my stand-up and my So when I fail those things, I fail myself, and I just feel real shitty about it. And what makes it worse is the host misgendered me twice in his introduction. He called me he. He didn't gender me correctly once, even though I was doing my best to present as femininely as possible. But yeah, apparently according to transgender comedian Cindy Rivers, who is also a transgender comedian in Edmonton, it was Apparently he's one of the good ones, she said. But he just neglected to pay attention to me. I don't know, man. And of course, I'm gonna say this as quickly as I can before I move on. But what makes me spiral on nights like those? Oh, that's the other thing. It's so hard to fucking recover on stage from getting misgendered, because now that's the first thing I have. You've thrown me off my game plan, and I'm adaptable as shit. I improvise a fuck ton, of course I do. But like, you've dug me a hole to begin with, and I have to make light of it in a fun. I have to get over how insulting and hurtful that is in an instant, and put on my big old clown face and my clown shoes after just getting punched in the gut and then brought up on stage. It's a mental, the gymnastics of it to compartmentalize that pain as quickly and effectively as I can, because it happens in a second and now I'm on stage. And then um to put on my clown face and perform, it is a challenge. It sucks. You've dug me a hole. It's hard to get out of, especially because in my heart, I don't feel fun or playful in that moment. I'm doing my best to overcome it, but I feel like shit. You've made me feel a little bit like shit, a lot like shit, a lot more than I am keen to admit. I wish I were stronger, but in that particular situation, it just fucking hurts. And what hurts more is the tragedy of being in my own head and not and knowing that there's a special kind of loneliness where everyone in the room, no one knows what's happening in my head and how alone I feel in that moment and how pained I am, yet what a performance I have to put on. Like, you know what I mean? It almost hurts more being in my head, observing that happening and being like, God, it really sucks that you have to be this professional and this strong to be insulted like that and disrespected like that and still uh proceed and play, you know? And no one knows how much pain you're in right now because you're being a clown. And so that thought always pops into my head and makes me even sadder. It's a lonely feeling. It's a very lonely feeling. Very lonely. It's the kind of lonely that when you're alone in a crowded room, I think that's a worse loneliness than being alone alone. You know what I mean? Being alone in a crowded room, surrounded by people, especially the more love they give you, the lonelier it tends to feel. You know what I mean? Um, but all that said, so I was feeling particularly crushed, and then I went to do Norm's interview on the radio, and I was just so in that moment. That's the thing. I try to present as feminine as fucking possible, and I take responsibility. It's hard for me not to blame myself when I'm trying my best to perform femininity, and I still get misgendered as casually and neglectfully as that from one of the good ones who is extra careful about this stuff. To see it just happen so naturally to them, to see like somebody who should be on top of that stuff misgendered me without a second thought, that must mean that I am not performing femininity in a way that signals strongly enough to somebody. Get it in your fucking head. So I take that personally. I take responsibility. I'm like, what the fuck am I doing that is not registering to these people? You know what I mean? But I'm trying. I'm trying. But I'm trying. And I'm trying my best. And hey, being on the road, I'll say this. It's helped me practice vocal feminization a whole lot more. Just being in a different city, away from home, away from my, even if he's my best friend, it's hard to really talk like this around someone who's known you your entire life, because it feels really weird and forced. And so being around complete strangers in a foreign city is just, it's much easier practice and get in that headspace. So I hope I made some progress. I don't know if you can hear it. I can't. But after getting misgendered like that and sitting and doing a radio interview for 2 hours and listening to myself consistently for 2 hours, getting interviewed and being on the radio and in my head being like, well, anyone who listens is surely confused every time I'm referred to as she or her. And every time Norm hesitates on the pronouns and I see him having to stop himself from saying masculine pronouns, do the rewiring, that tiny little pause, that almost imperceptible pause is everything to people like me. And we notice it. I'm sensitive to it. So like every one of those little pauses was it was just a night of death by 1,000 cuts. And I wasn't feeling very good and I was ripping on myself the whole time in my head, just like, oh, anybody who's listening to this thinks you're a fucking man. Of course they do. So, and none of that was, of course, Norm's fault. Norm was the sweetest guy of all time, and he didn't misgender me once. And he really, like, fucking awesome guy. Norm, if you're listening or watching, Norm Shaw, 10 out of 10 human being. Thank you for all your hospitality. Thank you for having me on the show. Comic Genius, it was called, and Genius spelled with a J. And I'm gonna track that interview down. I think it's online somewhere. I think you can find it, and it would be interesting if you're that big a fan of mine that you want to listen to this, be my guest. And now you have like a background knowledge, a context in as to what was going on in my head. So now you can listen to it and be like, oh wow, secretly she is in a ton of pain throughout this entire interview. But I'm such a God damn, I'm such a professional. Anyways, that was Edmonton. Oh, speaking of professionals, so I got to give Cindy Rivers, transgender comedian, Cindy Rivers. Hi, Cindy Rivers here, transgender comedian here. I got to give her a shout out. She is a trans comic in Edmonton. And she, I feel like this isn't really my story to tell, but I'll tell a truncated version of it. And then I won't give it I won't dignify it. But basically there was a drunk woman in the front who, just out of nowhere told Cindy that her hair was fucked up. Interrupted Cindy in her set while she was killing. And this woman goes, why is your hair so fucked up? Real hostile energy. And Cindy, like, naturally, everybody in the audience was shocked because it's a queer show. And, like, these things are the most supportive to a fault, where it's almost like cheating, where you're like, oh, you guys are way too easy to please. You need to, like, hold me to a higher standard, please. I can't keep getting away with such cheap laughs and applause. In me, I'm always like, I tell jokes sometimes to those, or I, like, say something that gets an applause break, and I'm like, oh, you guys, you're too eager to support me, and I need you to challenge me a little bit more. Maybe I'm not challenging them. Maybe it's on me. But anyways, this woman just kept interrupting, calling her hair fucked up, and then getting on the defensive. Like, Cindy kept shutting her down, and then very effectively, good one-liners, witty retorts. But this woman wouldn't shut up. She had a big bottle of wine to herself. She was drinking a bottle of wine to herself. And she kept, every time she would say something that was like, what? This is what, oh yeah. She also said, this is what stand-up comedy is. I'm a comic in the city. This is what we do. And it's like, no, you're not. You're very clearly either so new, you've done it 2 or 3 times, or once when you were drunk. Yeah, for you to say this is what stand-up comedy is, exactly proves the opposite. That you are not a stand-up comic. If that is what you are doing at shows, no. We disown you. We don't claim you. As the spokeswoman for all things stand-up, you are disowned. We don't claim you. And eventually, she got kicked out. I was the one to alert the door. Nobody, they were all chilling outside. So I had to like get the owner to go in and kick her out. And there was a part of me that wanted her to stay, to be honest. I was hoping that after the first few like Cindy comebacks that she would shut the fuck up, so that shut the fuck up long enough that I could go up and lay into her, because I was fuming in the green room while I was listening to this. I was like, oh, I am about to tear you to pieces. But then she wouldn't shut up and she kept interrupting. So I was like, okay, it's really becoming a problem. And so I got management to give her the boot. And I heard after the show, management was like, oh man, you should have heard the things that she was saying. She was saying that she is a comic. She was saying that she played the race card. She was a black woman who was like, she was like, I looked around and I was the only black person in the audience. And one of Cindy's comebacks was like, are you here alone? Yeah, that doesn't surprise me, or something like that. Which was a comment on her fucking behavior, because she was being a piece of shit. And she played the race card where she was like, I looked around, I was the only black person, and she said I was alone. She's a racist because she said I was alone because I was black. And it was like, no, girl, no, you are not. You are not about to play that card. You are misbehaving in a comedy club. You are being an asshole. You're being an asshole. No matter what race, creed, fucking sexuality you are. If you identify as queer and you come to a show and you fucking tell the comedian in the middle of a sentence that her hair is fucked, and then you back off and you're like, oh, whoa, I'm just telling it like it is, then you go fuck yourself. You are not allowed playing any card because you are an asshole. And the lack of accountability was bananas. But anyways, okay, that's all I want to say about that. Cindy crushed it. Cindy handled it like a G. I brought her back out when I went up on stage. I gave her a curtain call, because my lord, did she deserve it. Overcoming adversity. Okay, and last, was that everything for Edmonton? Oh yeah, Edmonton. I met the lovely Shauna. Shauna, if you're listening, hello. Hello. Yeah, Shauna is a lovely friend of mine who I met through Instagram, and now we're real life friends because she came to a show and we sang karaoke together twice on this trip. And yeah, she's great, cutie pie. Guys, karaoke makes me nervous. It just makes me nervous. You know me, I'm self-conscious about my voice. I am. But on that night, I had such a good set that I was flying high, and I was feeling myself. I felt welcomed to the space. And so they had a karaoke thing afterwards, after the show. And I was like, I like singing when no one's around. And I was feeling myself. This is the thing. Singing and dancing were things I would so rarely, if at all, ever do before I transitioned, because they would make me super self-conscious about my masculinity and shit. I always, if I was going to do those things, I always played it up for laughs, because I just didn't want to be seen singing or dancing. Something about it would just bring out the insecurities in me. And I would have to be really drunk to dance. And I definitely wasn't singing for nobody, because I only ever felt comfort singing in like a falsetto or a higher voice. Never like in a male register. I don't know. I just can never do it. I love singing high. It's nice. And I can hit the notes. I'm not a terrible singer. I'm not. I promise. That was dubstep again. I brought it back, you see. And then that hurt my throat again. Okay, but Was it just saying, y'all? Oh. So anyways, I told anybody and everybody that I got really drunk, and I told anybody and everybody that night that singing makes me so nervous and I don't want to do this, but I'm doing it. And I went up to complete strangers and I was like, "Hi, I'm going to sing tonight." Even though I never do karaoke and I'm so nervous, but I'm going to do it tonight and wish me luck. And people were like, "Oh, sweet." And I was the belle of the ball that night. I made a lot of friends. I was so my gregarious self. Uh, drunk. Oh, I was drunk. But very, it was just so warm. The room was so welcoming and warm and fun. And everybody was such a good time. Edmonton, you were great. Calgary, you were great too. I should wrap this up soon. Oh, Calgary. I did. My agent sent me an audition for a horror movie. Horror. Horror. You heard of it? Did I scare you there? Sorry. Hi, everyone. Did I scare you? I apologize. Come on back now. It's safe. Or is it? That's the horror sound. Why is that? Where did that even originate? Oh, I bet there's a thing about that. I bet there's information about where that noise came from and why it is used so often. I want to know the origins of the screechy thing. Shall I look with you guys here? I'll look later. Oh, I'll look and then I'll follow up on the next episode. That's what I'll do. Anyways. Singing and dancing, let's wrap up that point. Ever since I transition, the deeper I get in my transition in self, of course, I will acknowledge that alcohol helps. It does. It does. It does a lot. However, it's so much easier, and I get so much more into it, and so much more carefree, and so much less self-conscious. I have much less of a third eye criticizing or making me uncomfortable or self-conscious. I'm just less self-observant than I used to be when I sing and dance. Being sober while that happens, still a bit challenging, especially the dancing, because I gotta dance sexy now that I'm a woman and I don't know how to be intentionally sexy at all. I don't know if you guys noticed, if I'm ever attractive in any sort of way or sexy in any sort of way, it's purely accidental. It's purely through my gumption and charm. I can't be intentionally sexy. Hi, handsome. How are you? Hi. I can't say anything other than hi. I was seriously looking for more. I was really digging for something else. Sorry, that's all. Hi. Hey, sailor. Hi. That's all I can think of. Well, because I'm trying to do sexy voice and I can't think of anything else. Hey, what do you got there? Oh, is that... Oh, your pants are tight. Huh? Oh, wow. Show me your pants. Oh, yeah. I like your pants. Fuck. I'm trying to be sexy. Okay, sincerely sexy time. Trying to be sexy. Hey, hi. What do you got there? Is that corduroy? Fuck, I'm still on the pants. I'll work on it. Anyways, it's just easier to sing and dance now that I'm a girl. It's easier to sing and dance now that I'm a girl. Isn't it nice? It's fun. I like it. Wee. Okay. Okay, yeah, lastly, Calgary. When I was in Calgary, I got an audition for a horror. And the character description was so like me. I looked at the character description and it was like, head in the clouds, optimistic, witty, fun, charming. She's and also she's the drummer in a band, so it's like she's like the engine of the band. She's like the magnet, the energy, the engine. She's plucky and optimistic and good natured and wholesome and sensitive. And I was like, what the even heck is this? It's me. It just described me. And so this horror, which is not something that I'm used to, of course, because I'm a comedian, as you know. But as I've heard so often before, comedy and horror are actually closely related. And this is I have nothing to back this up, but people so often say that comedians are naturally good at acting, and it's not usually the other way around, where actors can convert into. And boy, Lord have mercy, have I seen some actors try and do stand up, and I'm sorry, but it's a little painful. It's a little painful. You guys, you actors, you're a bit too proud of yourselves up there. Anyways, oh, that was me just thinking of all the actors who tried comedy and just didn't last. Anyways, so part of this audition involved me having to play the drums to demonstrate some competency. And I don't play a lot. It's been a long time. I learned the fundamentals in university when I bought a kit. I mean, I bought Rock Band first, so I learned through Rock Band through the video game. And then I got good enough that I was like, oh, I want to learn real drums. And I bought a used kit and made a ton of noise on that kit. I had it for like 4 or 5 years before I sold it off. And I learned the fundamentals. I learned how to keep a beat. I learned how to coordinate between some of my limbs. I'm obviously not a master. I couldn't play it often enough to like really get good. And I'm self-taught. There's a cap, there's a ceiling on how good you could teach yourself. Something like that. But I know enough to sell it. And this audition, it was due today, the day that I would have to be back from my tour. So I couldn't get a drum kit, and I was calling around, and all the studios in Calgary were like either booked up fully or cost like $110 to rent for 3 hours minimum. You couldn't rent it I couldn't just walk in and be like, hey, just give me like 10 minutes to record myself just playing. That's all. Just let me bang on a drum just for a minute. I'll give you $10. Nope. So I was in a panic all fucking day, just trying to like message everybody, call around, just freaking out about this until finally Connor Christmas, one of the other comedians on the tour, on the Calgary leg, gave me this brilliant idea. Who was like, get creative with it. Just bang on some stuff that you find in the hotel room. And my, oh my, if that wasn't the best suggestion that I really think elevated the entire thing. So I did the acting part, and I think I nailed it, because even though I'm a comedian, I'm like, fuck yeah, I'll sell the shit out of this role. Yes. And I think I did pretty good. And then the drum part, I set up, I had a hi-hat, the cymbals were pots, and the toms and the snare, the toms, if you know your lingo, the cymbals were pots, so they had that tinny sound to it, but I also put tea towels on top to mute the sound a little bit, because I didn't want to get a noise complaint. And then the toms were a different garbage pails that I found around the hotel room, and 2 of them were equal sizes, but one was blue and black for recycling and garbage. And then there was a bigger one that worked perfectly as a floor tom right here beside me. And then I used the ice bucket as the snare, because it was like a little bit thinner, so it had that clack. Everything had, like, the toms had the dub of the deepness of it, and then like the ice thing had the clack of a snare. And I just like wailed on these things just for a hot minute, 30 seconds. And I think that was enough to demonstrate my competency because I could keep a beat and I was coordinating the hands, and it's hard to do fills. Oh, and I used butter knives too as drumsticks. It's hard to do fills, really hard, with not only because they're butter knives, but things are shifting around. It's hard to spatially navigate doing a quick drum fill, just spatially with all this stuff all around. And with stuff shifting and with butter knives, it's just really hard. So the fills kind of sucked, but you know, the patterns were good. Mwah. Anyways, that's my Calgary story. That audience was great. I sold a lot of t-shirts. Touring really doesn't make a lot of money, and so merch really helped. Merch really helped everything. I'm grateful. I'm relieved. I'm back. I'm happy to be back. Toronto, we have a show. If you're watching this on the day this comes out, tomorrow, it's Thursday. The show would be Thursday, the 18th in Toronto, and then in Montreal at the Wiggle Room. Toronto is at Glad Day Bookstore. Tickets are going fast for that one, and you don't have a lot of time left. April 18th in Toronto at Glad Day. April 21st, Sunday at the Wiggle Room in Montreal. We're coming to Montreal. So tell your friends if you have friends who might be fans of mine, who might enjoy my comedy. I'm willing to bet that they will. If you like me and you like your friend, then your friend will like me too. That is an Alval guarantee. Putting my money, just gonna say it. Alval guarantee. Come to those shows. Keep supporting me. Please tell somebody about these. Like I said, the better I do financially, the more it feels like I'm falling behind and the more my expenses run up. And so I have wanted to budget for like an editor for the longest time to edit my stand-up videos. But it is not just, stand-up videos I can take care of. But like, also when you throw in podcast videos too, I think I would be able to grow this podcast, I truly believe, if I could edit clips. And it is just so beyond, the demand is beyond what I can handle right now, time-wise. Which is unfortunate. Because I would have to like watch this entire thing back and pluck the parts that I want to use and all that. So, you know what? I'll turn this into a call to action. If you want to volunteer to edit some videos for me, I can pay you. We can negotiate a price. It'll be an a la carte thing. If you're already a fan of this podcast, tell me how much you want. And we can do it a la carte. I've had friends do this before. I'm even thinking about my friend Robin, who's done this. But my budget is, I don't know. The thing is, I see other trans women with podcasts post clips that get X amount of views, and it's all well and good. And I keep having these why not me moments, because what you see me do, what I demonstrate, the fucking character work at the beginning, I think that was funny. I think that's worth sharing. I think this is what I think. Sometimes I think that the things I think about what I think, sometimes I think that I think my act and what I do isn't good enough, and so I don't promote it, I don't put it out there, because there's constantly a voice in my head that's like, that's not funny enough. That's like mildly entertaining. I'm always like pushing down the quality of what I do, and then I go on social media and I see some of these other trans bitches who just don't have the same charisma as I do, and I'm like, I'm hella fucking watchable. Let's put me out there. Let's put one of these ramblings out there. You know what I'm saying? So, anyways, I'm complaining. Now it's ComplainGis, and now it's too long. And thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. But if you are interested in this position, I can tell you it doesn't pay much, and I might run out of money sooner rather than later. So it might just basically necessitate you taking like 3 or 4 clips from this episode, because it was fun and funny and even insightful. I would love people to follow me for my insights, because I'm beginning to think I have something worth saying. Because I have some friends who respond to these podcasts and they say nice things about, wow, I have a friend named Michael who says poetry snaps sometimes to some of the things I say, and it makes me feel good about how I articulate myself. God damn it. So I got to start believing in myself. This is me just wanting to believe in myself more, but not having the time or the resources. It's so frustrating, and I'm trying to make a living and I'm trying to earn money. But like something like this would just be an investment with no payback. It would just be more followers, which is maybe a stratagem long term. But then that's like that's intangible. Where does the money come there? It comes from people coming to my shows, I guess, or me monetizing. Maybe I need to monetize this podcast. I don't know. I'm thinking out loud, and this is getting redundant. So, thank you all for listening. Thank you for following, and thank you for enjoying. And welcome back, me. I'm just gonna I think I'm gonna call this episode Dubstep, because that impression of dubstep was really fun, and you might see it in my act now, some way, somehow. Super fun. Anyways, I think that's everything I wanted to talk about. Hey, look, if you're out there giving out free hugs to people, let's have a little bit more faith in each other. I don't want to put anybody out there who's gonna like fall victim to pickpocketing. If you're a pickpocket listening to this podcast, don't. Hey, don't do it. But if you're listening and you want to give out free hugs, then do it. You do that. Okay, anyways, thanks. Bye. Yeah, that's it. Bye. See you next week. Bye.